Taliban are back in power in Afghanistan. When they last ruled the country, they did so with an iron fist. Their medieval interpretation of Sharia law led to public executions, stonings, and a huge curtailing of women's rights. They also allowed terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda to operate freely in the country, leading to major terror attacks like 9/11.
So now that the Taliban are back in charge in Afghanistan, what does that mean for global terrorism?
The Taliban is not technically considered a terrorist group, although some of its affiliates are. When they were last in power, they were closely associated with Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda and allowed them to set up a base in Afghanistan for their global terrorist network. The Taliban refused to hand over bin Laden and Al-Qaeda in 2001, leading to the US NATO invasion and the subsequent removal of the Taliban from power in Afghanistan.
But it was never so much about the Taliban specifically, more about the terror groups that they let grow in their country. The Afghanistan of the late 1990s was essentially a rogue state. The Taliban, which was in power, was only recognised by a handful of countries internationally.
This time around, the leadership at least seems to be more concerned with what the international community actually thinks about them.
We are looking to form a government which is acceptable to whole people, including all Afghans from every background.
The Taliban say they want to rule their Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, and they claim to be less concerned these days with the global Islamist movement. In the failed negotiations with the US prior to their takeover, the Taliban even promised to cut ties with Al-Qaeda. They also claimed that human rights and women's rights will be better than before.
They go to job, they go to market, they are participating in the society.
It's as though they're trying to reinvent the 2021 Taliban as less extreme.
So they give reassuring messages on giving women their basic rights, but their action on the ground or their practices on the ground are different.
Personally, I would take this claim with a grain of salt. It still aims to uproot, eradicate any way of life, values that are thought to be incompatible with their ways of life.
A 2018 study identified 21 militant groups operating in Afghanistan that were against the government. But the main threats come from three of these groups: the Haqqani network, Al-Qaeda, and Islamic State in the Khorasan province, ISKP, an offshoot of ISIS. The Haqqani network has been responsible for a number of attacks on US and Western forces in Afghanistan since 2001. And in 2012, it was designated a foreign terrorist group by America and the UK. But they don't have a long history of attacks outside of Afghanistan.
That group's leader, Sirajuddin Haqqani, is part of the Taliban's senior leadership.
Although they are arguably the most infamous terrorist group in Afghanistan, Al-Qaeda's influence has waned in recent years. The Al-Qaeda of old made it a mission to attack the West, but they have started to move away from this. But they also have close ties with the Taliban, and some are worried that they could grow in size and influence once again.
This ISIS affiliate wants to create an Islamic caliphate across Afghanistan, Pakistan, and parts of Central Asia. The former Afghan government considered them to be a serious threat, and the Taliban aren't aligned with them either. The two groups have fought each other in the past.
Their ideologies are contradictory. Therefore, if the Islamic State of Khorasan province wants to exist in Afghanistan, it will need to somehow negotiate with Taliban, accept their terms and conditions. Otherwise, they will be destroyed.
But Islamic State have been behind some of the worst attacks on the West in recent years. So a growing Islamic State is something to be wary of. Extremist militant groups need a place to grow, train, and recruit. That is what the old Afghanistan under the Taliban offered to Al Qaeda, and that led to some of the worst terror attacks in Europe and the US.
But in 2021, this seems slightly more complicated. The modern-day Taliban appears to be more intent on controlling its own territory rather than giving harbour to other terrorist organisations. But my intelligence sources tell me that already other terror groups around the world have been emboldened by the Taliban's victory over the NATO troops.